North Dakota After Dark is proudly brought to you by Endries Construction Services. With over 20 years of experience in all areas of construction, projects that include banks, oral surgery offices, dental offices, schools, retail space, and auto body shops, you name it, they can build it. They offer assistance with all phases of construction from the initial design all the way through completion. You dream it, they make it a reality. Your next project, looking to be a breeze? Call the folks at Endries.
Welcome to our show. Our show is called North Dakota After Dark. We record it in North Dakota after dark. We talk about youth hockey, hockey in North Dakota, what we're drinking in hotels, drinking in parking lots. Sometimes we say mean things to Corey. And then we have, we're working through all of Kelly's family as guests. And that's basically the show.
And listen, we're good Catholics, so there's a never-ending supply of family members for guests. So this show could go on for a really long time. So if you're interested in parent perspectives of hockey life, hockey travel life, hockey hotel life, and mixed in with a little Bravo Real Housewives of any given city, which is the expertise that I bring to the show, this is the podcast for you.
If you're looking for the 169th rated hockey podcast on Apple, you found us.
154, Corey.
Out of how many?
Who's
Maybe
counting?
155, but you know, that's not what's important. Right?
But you came here.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're polling higher than Hitler does hockey, I think, which is pretty good, right? So
wonderful.
Yeah. We'll take it.
We will take it.
We will take it. What do you find people want to talk about today?
Oh gosh, Corey kind of touched on it, that hallelujah hockey season, regular season is at a finale for the year. And what's weird though is in a month I will miss it. Like I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Not quite there yet because we just finished up. But I will miss it. I do love hockey season. And like I said, I don't have to miss it very long because we're going straight into spring hockey.
Yeah.
But that's where our kids get to skate together. So I'm not sad about that.
Hey Kyle. Our
Yes.
oldest boys won a state championship. How did your oldest boy do?
That's true. That's weird you would say that, Corey, because that is true.
How'd he do?
My oldest did not win. They got third place after a disappointing 4 overtime loss to the other Grand Forks team.
That was an intense game.
Intense, in which Corey's boy had to come back. Corey's middle boy had to come to the bench after I ran him out there every second shift and tugged my sleeve and goes, "I'd like a break, please."
You will not be getting a break.
No.
Out there.
Parker Oliver twisted you on the bench. I would like no more, please, sir.
Don't put me out. Don't put me out.
That's right. My kid plays on that team too. He also got third. Dang it.
Son. Well,
I know which kid gets to sleep in the house tonight. That's all.
That's right.
Say.
No.
That's right.
Good effort.
Sleeping in the house is for winners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slashed a girl in the back of the legs, which made me real proud,
Yeah, that's good. Hey, I told Parker, I said, listen, buddy, I don't want you to feel like I only went off to watch Cam's state and Mom stayed to watch your state because I knew he would win and I was fairly certain you would lose.
Don't feel like that, buddy.
Yes. The broadcast team for our crew was making fun of Corey the entire time to the point where Mrs. Arian had to turn around and tell him, knock it off.
I love it.
She did not get that this is an ongoing bit because she never listens to me when I do the broadcasting. Yeah. And so any dad who isn't there gets made fun of the whole time. So I, in Bismarck, get a phone call from one Jeremy Swanson member of the broadcast crew apologizing for angering my spouse so much. To it, I laughed for a good solid 5 minutes. And then I said, I will explain to her that it's a bit.
Yeah.
She will
I do not
likely be
believe
embarrassed.
I've never seen an angry Jess Arian, and so I don't believe it exists. I just we won't No, I won't have it. I will not have it. So
I've seen a couple looks that suggest there's a
there's
undercurrent
something there.
Yes.
No, she's too pretty. So no, I don't believe you.
I was going to make a joke about that, but no joke I could make about that would either keep me safe or make a safe podcast joke. And I don't think I've ever reached this point in 26 episodes.
Just
where
a
I
smart
don't feel
man,
safe
Corey.
making a joke.
Yeah, smart
Too far.
man. All right. Hey, okay.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't already guess, this is North Dakota After Dark, episode 26, the tail end of season 1, right? I think we'll do maybe another 4 episodes. Let's cut off season 1 at 30. That feels right.
A clean 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
A dirty 30?
Dirty 30, right? What was I thinking?
Yeah, well, we're in Grand Forks, so good luck finding a clean 30-year-old anywhere, right? So,
bingo.
At least on the north end.
That's true. Not the north end. You've come to the wrong end of town.
That's fired. Good gravy.
Or the entire city of Minot.
Yeah.
Not there either.
Well done. We are expecting a guest soon. This will be a wide-ranging, and I think instead of wide-ranging, I would say eclectic episode. We'll just talk about whatever we want to talk about,
Yeah. But what a great weekend for North Dakota hockey. That's what I was very excited about, because these youth state tournaments, between the Pee Wee and the Bantam age levels, Grand Forks teams had a very good showing. It was really, really fun to watch. And especially, because we were all down, well, Corey went to Bismarck, like you said, with the Bantams. But
I follow the winners.
Yep, that's exactly right. Most of us were down in Fargo for the Pee Wees, and there were some games in Grand Forks, some in Bismarck, some in Fargo, kind of all over. And so as the information on what teams won and what Grand Forks teams won, really a great weekend for Grand Forks. I mean, it's fun to watch all the North Dakota hockey and get kind of a feel for where the kids are at in the state as a whole. But Grand Forks had a great, great weekend, and I really liked it. I'm very proud of these kids. Makes me really excited for the next few years. And also, okay, now this is me. I don't lightly give the west side of the state compliments. I don't like to do it. But the Pee Wee A age group, Dickinson won.
Yeah. And
I never mind kind of a dark horse, because I like to shake the bag a little bit, it's I'm okay with seeing North Dakota hockey just getting more competitive across the whole state, not just the East dominating, even though I want the East to dominate, because obviously, but I like it. I like to see it. It's fun. It's fun to see the whole state get more competitive, because we always get compared to Minnesota. And so I like it when it means more to win a North Dakota state championship.
Yeah. That Pee Wee level, the Western teams were good. A lot of big kids with beards out there. So
those children were not children. They were huge. I don't know what human growth hormone they're putting in the food and water out in the West, but I'm just wondering if the East should follow suit,
those 13-year-olds scared the hell out of our team of 11-year-olds, so it did the trick, Our guest has joined us. I'm going to let him in. Or if you want to pick up something with your wife, Friday night at the hotel, despite repeated invitations, she would not come down to the Busch Light Circle.
I got nothing. I'm not going to tell her what to do, because she tells me what to do. So that's how our relationship works.
That's completely fair. She wouldn't come down, and Katie Yana wouldn't come down. But in Katie's defense, she said she had no kids in her room. She was going to eat her Reuben sandwich in peace, and I get it. 6 kids at home.
Sometimes you got to make a choice, Yeah. I mean, choices have to be made. I drank 2 nights in a row, guys. I don't do that. And I was feeling it when I got home, but I was there. I celebrated state hockey correctly.
Trooper. I like it.
Yeah.
Well done.
I really did.
I went I went out drinking with Danny Mardo, meaning I drank every day. Like,
Yes. Yeah, I think I got all 3 days into, so kudos to me.
Yeah, I'm proud of you guys.
Matt, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Sorry, it took me a while to get on here.
That's
You know,
okay.
Technical difficulties sometimes.
It took us 16 minutes to actually start the show, so you're right on time.
Perfect.
hey, technical difficulties is what Kyle's wife says to him every evening.
Second wife. Yes. Well, again, Matt, we're pleased to have you on the show. You are, I believe, our first guest actually in California. We've had guests from California.
Yes, I'm
First guy-
physically here.
Physically there.
Physically, yeah.
How is that treating you so far?
It's interesting. Very different from North Dakota, as you might imagine.
Give me the top 3 differences.
No snow. I actually, people ask me, "Hey, you missed the snow?" I said, "No, not even a little bit." I can drive to Tahoe and visit it if I want, so that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
Just like a
top
divorced
3
dad on
things.
the weekends, right?
Right. So I like, and we live in a great
Like
place
senior.
because we're like an hour and a half from the beach and like an hour and a half from Tahoe. So like I can go either way. So we live in a pretty good spot. So it's all right. I don't care for the taxes, but you know.
Taxation is theft. And that's where we'll just have to leave it there because otherwise I'm going to get riled up, you know?
Don't do it. We're gonna go to a totally different podcast.
That's a different show altogether.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to get yeah. Okay, so that's 2.
2. Probably the third one, and probably most importantly, I'm very far away from Corey.
Yeah,
So
I knew it was coming.
that's helpful. That's helpful.
Yeah. I'm not. I can yell at his house.
That is unfortunate for you. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I not only will I defend Matt, Kelly's husband, but I think Kelly and I take the Corey jokes as our own personal province here. So when other people make fun of him, we don't like it, but because we just want
No.
Ah,
No,
make sense?
he's only we can be mean to him, but anybody else. you know,
well, I hate to tell you,
Not
I'm
gonna
his
happen.
brother-in-law, and I'll probably be as mean to him as possible.
right,
know?
you have earned that. That's okay. That is okay.
I'm gonna.
I think that's
I'm gonna
within the
remind-
boundaries of the rules.
But Corey,
I'm
you
gonna
can't be mean. You can't be mean because my brother will tell my husband, I would be mean to you, but you're married to my sister, and that's punishment enough. So,
Well-
like that's
I'm going to take this opportunity to remind a certain Matt Strinden that I was at his wedding in the front row, and when the pastor said, "Do you take this woman?" I said, "Dude, think about it."
whoa.
I think Pastor Bruce was a little put off by that comment.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think he cared for that.
You may not know this about her, but she's mean sometimes.
Oh. Hey, I was never so happy to see my sister move, but Matt's okay.
Good luck, buddy. That's my
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
brother
right.
has
Good luck to
4
you.
sisters, and I'm pretty sure that was his message to all his brother-in-laws. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'll fly out to California anytime and skis off my wealthy friends out there.
Yeah.
Hell
He has
yeah.
been out here.
Yeah.
He has been out here.
The skis off of Matt and his beautiful living that I will never have in my own life.
It's not the same. Yeah.
Now, Corey, when you go out skiing, beach, do you loot a CVS just to fit in? What do you do in California?
I do anything that my sister and brother-in-law will pay for.
Okay.
It's like having extra children out here.
Yeah.
You know, when Corey comes.
I just
Yeah.
drink his beer and I float in his pool. It's pretty fantastic.
That's
Hey.
all right.
Mhm.
That sounds
That
great.
is okay.
Speaking of beer, Matt, what are you drinking?
Well, I told Corey earlier, I said, normally my drink of choice is an old fashioned when I get home. But I'm currently out of the materials that I would need to mix it. So then I was going to go with my second choice, which is usually a Maker's Ginger. And of course, all of my children drank the ginger beer to make my Maker's Ginger like it was sodas. So I have no mix. So I'm drinking a Michelob Ultra Pure
Oh, nice.
Gold tonight.
One of my faves.
Trying to watch my figure.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the old fashions. What are your thoughts on some of the premix old fashions you can buy now?
You know what? I got to be honest. I've never had one. I mix my own.
Yeah, typically it would too. The premixes are surprisingly good, especially for a hey, I just want to have one.
Right.
Handy to have.
It's funny because I have one sitting in the fridge right now.
The premix one?
And I probably could have had it. I don't know. Jackie must have got it at some point. I don't know. It was. I didn't buy it. It's sitting in there.
There's
I don't know how
several
long it's been in
different
there.
ones.
It might be like lake beer. Corey and I could tell you a story about the rules on lake beer.
Go for it.
Yeah. So we used to have a rule at the lake that when we would get together, Corey and I and our other brother-in-law, Nick, the rule was we had to drink all the oldest beer first.
Sure.
So whatever had the oldest born on date, and I think some of the oldest beer that we consumed was maybe upwards of 3 or 4 years old, and it may have turned, but we powered through it.
A little on the skunky side.
Yeah. It wasn't great, but
God help you if you broke that rule and drank the new beer first. Oh boy.
And Corey's mom always used to yell at us, just throw it away. She doesn't understand the rules. There are rules that have to be followed.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't pee in the middle urinal and you drink the old beer first.
That's right.
The middle urinal thing does not bother me at all.
You get off this podcast right now.
Get the
Here's
hell
a
out
funny
of here.
story. When
Jesus, man.
in college, like a freshman, like my first week in like intro to psych or something like that, I sat in the front. The guy drew 4 boxes on the blackboard, just to tell you how long ago this was. He goes, "Can you come up here?" I'm like, "Yep, no problem." And he's like, "Okay, just bear with me here. Just pretend you're going to the bathroom. Which one do you choose?" And I walked right to the middle, and he's like, "You fucked up my whole story." And I had to go sit back there. Yeah.
Sit back down. That wasn't what was supposed to
And
happen.
he's like, "Why'd you
You're
do that?"
done.
I'm like,
You
was right-
don't
it's
show
right-
up to this class
Yeah.
for the rest of the semester.
it was
I can
close. It was
just-
right in front of me. It was available.
This professor is sitting right there, right after he called in and made you sit down. He goes, I called the one fucker in this entire lecture bowl who would have done that.
Why that kid?
So
Ugh.
what is your problem with the middle?
A middle urinal?
Yeah. And child.
That's another story, but this should be ingrained in you that you just do not pee directly next to someone else who's peeing if there's an open stall, 1 or 2 extra spaces to the right or left.
I'm not even a guy, and I'm familiar with you
Yeah.
have to space the urinal rule.
Yes.
I have heard this rule.
This is an inalienable right of men everywhere.
Yes. I agree. I
Matt
agree.
and I don't agree on anything. and
We don't
that's
agree
what
on
it-
much, but I do agree on that.
Got to pick a different one.
The flip side is if there are 3 and they're all unoccupied, does the middle not give you a buffer on either side?
No, you don't pick the middle if there's no one there. You pick the far right or left so no one else takes.
You pick the middle because it's a power move. Those are yours. They're all yours.
That is a
that's
power
fine.
move. I like that. That is a power
Yes.
move. Then everyone else has to wait
Yeah.
until you're done.
One to the
Until
left,
you're
one to the right's an invitation for a buddy.
Yeah. Hey, you pick the middle, and then the next guy in, it's their move.
Yeah.
All right.
There's always some asshole who has to ice skate uphill, I tell you, and that's going to be you, Kyle.
I think Corey would just go in the open stall and just avoid the urinals altogether. in
Maybe
that
you
place.
got a shy bladder. Maybe you got to hide behind the stall, and that's okay.
All right.
I don't know how we got the shy bladder problems when we're trying to talk California hockey. Here we
Yeah.
are.
35
Here we are.
minutes in, I don't think we've barely even said the word hockey.
Right. Right.
That's okay.
That's why we're the 157th ranked hockey podcast on Apple.
154.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm going to look it up right after this. Maybe we're higher now.
But who's
Move it up.
counting?
How do I know? So Matt, Corey tells me you're involved with hockey.
I am. For a little bit.
Tell us
You know.
about it. Hockey,
Start
that
with
is.
Start with your background being a former Grand Forksian.
Yeah, well, one of the things I told Corey was that I thought it was very important that that I join your podcast tonight, because I think there was some importance to balance the Red River Central balance of the
Sure.
of the balance of power. So, being a Red River grad and former coach with Red River Rough Riders, I'll represent that side of town.
Yeah, suck it, Tony Bina.
95 views
so
and counting for Tony Bina.
what?
95 views and counting for Tony
Yeah,
Bina.
like there are a lot of people that like Bina. I guess he might be the favorite Bina. Who knows?
Could
And
be.
there's a lot of people. There might be more Binas than Spicers. That's the only way that makes logical sense.
It's all family. It's all family that watch.
It's all family.
Yeah, but I've coached hockey since, oh boy, 92. Started my first year. The first year I coached a Bantam B team, officially with David Spivey. And Dave Spivey and I had a great time coaching a Bantam B team, and then moved on from there. I went to the University of North Dakota, got a teaching degree with a coaching minor, and started kind of officially my high school type coaching career in 1996. And I was a student coach with Gary Perper in his last year coaching with Red River, and then I coached with Matt Malm for a few years, and then I switched over to girls. I coached the Knightriders for 2 years, and then we moved to Northwood, and I was principal. I was principal at Northwood Public Schools, middle school, high school principal, and then from there we moved out to Bismarck, and I coached the Bismarck Blizzard girls program for a couple of years, and then my last high school coaching stint was with the Mandan girls, and so and then we moved out here to sunny California, and now I coach. I'm back to coaching youth hockey. I started my first year out here. I coached squirts, and then I've coached up now, and I just got back from my Bantam 14U practice just before I joined you tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the other questions we were going to ask is like, what is there anything that stands out for you in coaching in the two different states? Anything obvious aside from maybe some of the parents you encounter, or anything?
Well,
not meant to be pejorative, just.
It's funny, I had shared with Corey at one time that, I think hockey parents are kind of hockey parents. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a lot of difference from state to state. Out here, it's interesting because while we do have a lot of skilled hockey players, there just isn't quite as critical mass of skilled hockey players
Sure.
as there is in the Midwest, North Dakota, Minnesota. And so, but there's no shortage of parents that think their players are going to be playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
So that's always an interesting dynamic out here.
That's a
one of the big
common
things that I
theme
found.
back
One of
here.
the big, what's that?
They have that in common with here. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of Grand Forks youth hockey kids that the next obvious step is the NHL.
Yes. That will be the next stop in their career.
Right.
And so one of the things that I think is really different, that I find really different out here, growing up in Grand Forks and then spending quite a few years in Bismarck, most of the kids that I worked with through youth hockey or high school had a really strong hockey IQ, and they watched a lot of hockey. They watched hockey. They watched UND play. They watched NHL games. They watched a lot of hockey, and therefore their IQ was pretty strong. One of the things that I find is just fascinating to me out here, even with some of my Bantam kids, but many of my Bantam players don't watch hockey ever. They don't watch the NHL. They don't watch college hockey. They just come and they play hockey, and therefore their hockey, they have a lot of skill, but their hockey IQ is quite a bit lacking.
We've spoken about this on the program before, is I think kids are watching less and less, and we run into it here as well, where like, I've coached quite a bit, coached a Pee Wee team this year. And again, the individual skill is very, very high compared to when I was young, or even when Corey was young. But again, how they think the game is tough, right? Like they just don't see enough of it to make any of those plays on instinct. You have to and it's like coaching every single thing instead of letting them figure some stuff out based on what they see.
Right. And so, yeah, I find myself having to go back and coach things that spending most of my time coaching in the Midwest, there were things I just didn't really have to coach because kids innately knew certain things. And I find that I go back and I have to coach things that I'm like, I can't believe you didn't know that you couldn't do that. I had one of my captains just last weekend took a penalty for she's a defenseman. She kind of got beat and she threw her stick to take the puck away and got a penalty, of course. And she came to the bench after she got the penalty and she said, I don't understand what I did wrong. And I was like, you can't throw your stick. She said, what do you mean I can't throw my stick? She had no idea she couldn't throw her stick. And so like, it was just like, it's one of those things like, man, like most kids at that age, at the 14U level would know that.
Yeah,
but
right.
And she's one of my better players. She's a great hockey player.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. And I think the other thing out here is like the expense to play hockey out here is crazy. Yeah. Like ice time out here is over $500 an hour.
Ooh.
Our kids just to play in my club, our kids just the base cost to play in my club is it's $3,000 to play.
Oh dang! I'm not going to complain about.
Yeah, don't complain about the $800 or whatever. Like
Yeah,
I moved out here and
yeah.
I was like, man, like I remember people were complaining about what we paid to play in Bismarck, and I was like, man, they'd lose their mind out here. And so,
Yeah.
and that doesn't include, and we travel a lot. Like we play. Corey would know this because I talk about our tournaments, but we play we go to Vegas, we go to Seattle, we go to Colorado. Yeah. In order for us to get play some competition that we'd like to play, we've got to get on some planes and fly places, and we just don't have the benefit. So there's the cost to be part of the program, and then there's the travel costs, which can get a little bit overbearing. So it's really, to play hockey out here, the reason the numbers aren't what they are, I think, is because hockey is just so cost prohibitive out here.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how many ice facilities do you have near you?
One.
Wow. Yeah, and
One.
we have. I mean,
the closest rink other than so we play and practice at Skate Town here. I live in Rockland, which is just outside of Sacramento. The Skate Town has two rinks, and the closest other rink to us would be Vacaville, which is about a 45-minute drive west.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you just don't, I mean, here, what do we have? How many rinks do we have alone in Grand Forks?
8 sheets in town, and then
Yeah.
3 on east side.
Yeah. Yeah. You just don't, like you said, they're just things that you take for granted when you just grow up around it.
Right. And all the rinks here are privately owned.
Yeah.
Nothing is
Wow.
owned by a park district. Nothing is owned by the city. So all the rinks here are for profit.
Yeah.
Wow. Which would
So they're all
explain
privately owned.
how high the per hour
Yeah.
rental is. I mean, because it would have to be
Yeah.
cost
And
effective to operate a facility like that.
And most of them could care less about hockey.
Right.
Because that's not where they make their money.
Right.
They make
Are
their
there
money
figure
on
skating clubs, or?
yeah, they are, but they make their money off of open skate. They charge they charge $20 an hour for open skate out here when they have their open, and the place is packed.
Wow.
There's 150 people in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we get free open skate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then so it's really an interesting dynamic for our club and the rink.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get any preferential treatment. As a matter of fact, like we get 2 practices a week. I practice twice a week. If I get full ice, it's usually an hour. If I get half sheet, it's an hour and 15, usually hour and a half sometimes.
I do some consulting, Matt, for an architecture firm that does almost exclusively rinks, and we run into that quite a bit too. Is the who are going to be the ultimate end users? You can make a rink a lot cheaper if you cut out the locker rooms, or just pay someone to put on skates and then do the open skates or whatever. But then it seems like it's coming back a little bit now, where they're looking for youth associations or maybe a junior team to be just one or two solid tenants too. So I'm hoping that comes back around a little bit, just to further hockey, because there's so, your story is repeated all over, outside of, our neck of the woods here, is repeated all over the country.
Yeah, they really our ice time, our ability to get ice time is really limited, because they would rather have public skate, or they would rather have really at Roseville, I play beer league hockey out here. I play 2 nights a week. I play Friday night and Sunday night. And I probably pay, for me to play beer league per team, it's about probably 650 per team.
Oh, wow.
So I pay about $1,500 a year to play beer league. And we actually $1,500 a season. We have 3 seasons. So like for me to play.
Yeah.
But they make a ton of money off of they charge each team $12,000 per season. So each team pays $36,000 a year to play. Wow. And there are 88 teams. So if you do the math, they're making a lot of money. They're not making their money off of the youth program, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But there's a new rink that's going to be opening over in Folsom that's not far from us. That's going to be a multi-sheet facility, so we'll have some competition, which will be nice. Hopefully that will help with some cooperation with our hockey club. Yeah.
When's that one opening?
They just broken ground, so probably sometime in 25, probably. Yeah. And it's a big community complex. They got indoor soccer. It's a whole big community thing. Privately owned, but
yeah.
Don't mind Kelly's dogs in the background. She started a Michael Vick dog fighting ring to make some extra cash, take a vacation.
A psychologist could really jump into my reliance on pets. And then my husband just had to come home from a coach's hockey meeting and get the little bastards all, fired up. So, just really convenient. Always, never a quiet household here. Never, ever.
You got to come up with side hustles to pay for hockey. It's expensive.
Right. Yeah. I would apologize, but I'm not sorry. So, I mean, yeah.
You mentioned the travel, Matt. How many I guess teams of your caliber are in your immediate area? I guess the area up your way.
So we have, our league right now has our 14A division. So we run A, B, B, and B is kind of this. So A would be our top division. We actually have AA and AAA out here as well, but our club doesn't have a AA program currently. But right now our division has 10 teams, 10 14A teams. We are actually getting ready to go into our NorCal playoffs this coming weekend, and the top 4 teams in standings make the playoffs, and it's a round robin. We play round robin Friday, Saturday, and then the top 2 teams go to states, Caja.
Yeah.
So my team finished first, so we're hoping to finish first this coming weekend and go to states again.
Matt and I are still working on an evil plan where we put my oldest kid on a plane and say he just lives in California. Yeah. He'll just come play.
I'll be honest. I need some defensemen.
Yeah.
Well, the question, Corey, is I can't remember. Is he a lefty or a righty?
He's a lefty.
Well, perfect, because I have 6 right-handed defensemen.
Oh. That's weird.
Yeah. Everybody on my team's a righty. I think I have 3 left-handers on my team total.
Have you?
Well,
Corey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, the only bad thing about sending Cam is if you're looking for hockey sense, this is also the same kid in a state tournament or a state championship game who covered a puck in the crease for a penalty shot.
Oh no. Okay, I've heard this story, but I didn't know it was Cam.
It was Cam.
Well, it is your offspring, Corey. So, there's, yeah.
And you just put him on blast like that, Corey. All right, we could have kept his identity a secret.
Nope. That's not how we roll, Kelly, in my family. We make fun of our children.
Because when my cousin told me the story, whose son is also on the team with Cam, he didn't put Cam on blast. He said a kid.
Well, here's the full story. So we're leading by 2 goals with about 3 minutes left, and we're on the power play, and we take not only 1 but 2 penalties in the same within 3 seconds of each other on the power play, up by 2. And we end up flipping the script because they pulled their goaltender. Now we're playing 3-on-6 to try to keep the other team off the board. And Cam throws his body in front of a puck, and the puck is sitting right in front of him. And he's like, well, the guy was just going to shoot it in anyways, so I figured I'd give my goaltender a chance by covering it. I'm like, okay.
I'm not going to argue with that logic, though.
It's good logic in the time,
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
But if the puck would have gone in the net, we get an extra skater back out. And as far as I'm concerned, maybe he shoots the puck 5 or 6 times off your head. You don't know for sure what's going in.
Hey, I would have made the same decision as Cam. But
the good news is we were up by 2, then we were tied, and then we went down with a minute left and scored and won the game anyway, so it didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
There you go.
So
I
as
would still take Cam if you're looking for help.
There you go.
Yep, take him. He's worth it.
How
Well,
about
I
that?
was trying, we just played a tournament up in Seattle. And so we can actually out here, we can make tournament rosters. And so as long as we add a player by Thursday, we can add them to our roster for a tournament if they're not on our roster normally. So I told Corey, I said, I'll fly him up to Seattle. He can come play for us in Seattle, but that didn't work out. I don't know why Corey didn't want to send him up there.
Stay hockey here. But after that, you need him again. Just pay for his ticket, and I'll send that kid anywhere you want out of my house.
People will be going, Irian. What was your wife's maiden name?
That's right. Nobody knows that.
Yeah, right.
Hey, we got a new kid. Don't worry about it. He's good.
Don't worry about that. It's none of your business.
I understand he has a fresh new haircut.
Yeah, he's rocking a mullet and a mustache right now, as is the rest of their team, and they all look like a Temu version of Morgan Wallen. It's just awful.
Now, I have insider information that he got that mullet cut off today.
He did. I'm a little weirded out that you know these things, Kyle.
Connections
Corey's
everywhere, Corey.
looking out his windows.
I didn't know this place was bugged, and why are you watching me get dressed, Kyle? This is weird.
Now let's cut to a clip of Corey getting dressed.
I've seen a lot of good press for Corey in the rest stops in North Dakota, so I thought I'd check it out for myself.
Too mean, Kyle. Too mean.
My mistake. You mentioned you had 5 righties out of 6.
6 righties out of 6.
Okay. This is anecdotal, apocryphal, whatever you want to say, but I had heard at one time that this was years ago that the U.S. had so many right-handed shot players, especially defensemen, and that there were a lot of first-time hockey families. And when they went to, hey, go to the sporting goods store, my kid wants to try hockey. Not a lot of maybe educated salespeople. They're like, oh, which way? What hand are they? Right? Just because they write right-handed. And that's sort
makes
of
sense.
the reasons given in out of the way hockey markets why there are so many right-handed shots.
That might well be.
Yeah, I have absolutely no data, so I'm going to run with it.
That makes sense to me.
Listen, I have the same haircut as Rachel Maddow. I'm going to use the same journalistic standards she does. So.
Wow.
Too far?
Works for me. Works for me.
No one cares about your historical references. I've told you this 100 times.
I have pretty good ones.
Pretty good historical references are like my ability and understanding of hockey. Like
Pretty good.
Not great.
No.
Matt, tell us some funny stories about hockey in California. What's some crazy stuff you've seen?
Well, the craziest thing I've seen at our rink is a parent like opening the door and going on the ice and getting into a fight with an official. I saw that not too long ago. That doesn't seem like nowadays. I don't like that doesn't seem surprising. but it certainly was something that I hadn't seen before.
Dang.
And I should say one of the most interesting things I've ever happened. And I've coached, like I said, I've coached since the mid-90s, and 2 seasons ago, not last season, but season before, first time in my career, I had a parent come on the bench during warmups and yell at me because I wasn't starting his son in goal. And then I told him he had to leave the bench. And then his wife proceeded to come on the bench and yell at me as well on the bench during warmups. And my assistant coaches like escorted them off because I was so stunned by the fact that I actually had a parent physically walk onto the bench during a game. But that was a first for me. I've had a lot of things happen in my day as coach, but that was certainly something that was really interesting. But
you coached for all those years in the Midwest, and you got to go to California to get
right.
Parents
Yeah,
would rush the bench.
Apparently they're crazy out here. What was funny is this player, he was one of I had 2 goalies, and he showed up to the game with brand new pads, brand new glove blocker, leg pads, never wore them before. And so I'm a goalie by trade. And I know that I would never do that. Most goalies wouldn't. And he was clearly not comfortable in the locker room before the game to play the game with all these new pads because he'd never wore them. And he had mentioned as such to one of the assistant coaches. So I just told him, I said, hey man, like I'll just swap we rotated goalies every other game. I said, I'll just swap the goalie for today. And we'll put you in the next game. No big deal. That'll give you some time to warm up, get used to the pads. And I thought all was well. Somehow between the locker room and going out to the bench, he somehow must have signaled to his dad that I didn't see that he wasn't playing.
Oh no.
And so, and he didn't seem to be bothered that he wasn't playing, but clearly his dad and mom were bothered, and his mom got safe sported and couldn't come to the rink for the rest of the school year or the rest of the
Sport
season.
violation.
She got a safe sport violation and couldn't come to the rink for the rest of the season.
Well, hey,
they had to do a formal apology to the club.
I love that they did it to the mom.
Well, because she was the crazy one of the two. Like he was more reasonable and he left when we told him to leave, but she was just, I didn't know the mom. So I was just like, who's this crazy woman that's screaming at me in some weird language because they're Russian? And so I had no idea what she was saying. I didn't know idea what she was doing. And then one of the coaches said, oh, that's the goalie's mom. I was like, oh, okay.
They wanted their money's worth on those new pads.
Right.
And you were screwing that up.
I tell you. And then the dad came back and said, I have his old pads in the car.
Oh,
I'll go get them. I'll go get them. I was like, the game is starting.
Thanks, buddy.
And I started him anyway. And he let in 6 goals and we lost.
In those stiff pads.
Yeah.
oh, poor kid.
Yeah. So
Matt,
this is what it is. That was interesting. That probably is the most interesting thing that's happened out here to me.
I don't know if you heard me, but until you said the woman was Russian, I thought crazy, weird lady who yelled at you on the bench was your wife.
She doesn't come to my games anymore.
I understand.
Yeah, she used to. Now she doesn't.
Hey, what's the drink of choice for hockey parents in California?
Corey and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, that was something I knew, but I wanted to make sure we talked about.
Yes. So Kelly, you'll appreciate this. So all the moms on my team have what they refer to as a mom meeting before every game, and they go out into the parking lot, and their drink of choice is Fireball.
Oh.
Yeah, they get after
moms
it.
in California don't mess around.
Yeah, they do not mess around. They get after it.
makes our mom waters look like baby
Right.
shit, you know?
Right. Right. So they have conversations about, like, they come up with different drink concoctions that they can make with Fireball. And they have a mom meeting before the game, and they go out to the parking lot and enjoy Fireball.
That explains the safe
They
sport
scream
violation.
a lot. Yeah, that might be. And they scream a lot during the game. They're very animated.
Reason for acting out Fireball.
Right. Right.
It's like the Wookiee defense, you know. I'm sorry, I was drinking Fireball.
Right. What do you
Can't
want
be
me to do?
responsible.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's interesting, you know, like one of the things that you guys, I don't know if I've ever told Corey this, but this was the most fascinating thing to me when I came out to California, because I was like, if this happened in like North Dakota or Minnesota, like people would be murdered on the regular. But in California, because all the rinks are privately owned, they sell beer. So all of my parents during the game are drinking beer the whole game in the rink.
I can't tell if I think that's a good idea around here.
Oh boy. No, it's a terrible idea.
When we go to Winnipeg, so when we play up in Winnipeg, all the arenas serve alcohol. They all beer, Caesars, everything. And it's usually the American parents that are like kids in a candy store, you know, like double fisting. Like the Canadian parents, they're used to it. They can handle it. It's the American parents that go there and like get out of hand because this is such a novelty to drink at the arena during a termite hockey game.
Right. Yeah,
but you're right. It probably wouldn't. I mean, at least for the first few years, it would go poorly. There'd be a lot of police presence.
Oh boy, it escalates a lot of things.
Yeah.
It escalates a lot of things. Fortunately, I haven't had any encounters with angry parents after games because their kid didn't play or whatever. That's always been like my biggest fear. Like one of my parents is going to have been drinking during the whole game, and
right.
You know, I didn't play their kid. One kid got 2 more shifts than their kid did, and they were counting, you know, paying attention. But yeah, they get rowdy. They get rowdy.
Funny story. When I used to coach youth soccer, because no one else would do it in North Dakota, and I don't know anything about soccer, I once had a parent come up to me with a stopwatch to tell me that their son played 1 minute less than the other kids.
Oh.
And showed me the stopwatch.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall because Corey, you're so like diplomatic about stuff and you handle it so well. You know, like I just would love to have heard that reasonable response when it should have been like, get the hell out of here. You know, like, but I'm sure Corey, you were very reasonable and kind because that's shenanigans. That should not be tolerated.
Now I wish I would have handled that discussion well.
No, you didn't. Oh, no. I'm so excited. Now I'm excited. Now I wanna know.
I'm pretty sure I said, well, your kid is the worst kid in this team. That's why they got 1 minute less. And
well
actually,
played.
The kid was very good. But
that's so wonderful. Here I was thinking it was gonna be like really reasonable and you know, like attorney Corey would come out and be like, well, I understand how you feel, you know, but that's a great answer, and I'm proud of you. I want you to know.
The funny part is that kid was probably the best player on our team. And I'm like, I had no idea. I somehow managed to get your kid 1 minute less of time. He scored like 7 goals, and we won 7-1. And it was pre-kindergarten soccer.
Oh my gosh!
Well, you shorted him that 1 goal that he should have gotten for that extra minute he was out there.
Right.
I do think I reminded the parent for the 18th time, I've never played soccer. I don't know what any of the rules are. And I'm only here because no other parent volunteered.
I don't want to be here, but here we are.
Every soccer coach on that field.
Yeah, I don't want to coach this sport, but my kid wants to play and no one else will do this.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Playing time is always an issue out here. Because of cost.
Yeah.
Oh,
they pay a lot of money. And so most of our club level teams, kind of the expectation is everybody get I shorten the bench very rarely.
Yeah.
Oh
but I'm
gosh.
but I'm fortunate because I have a strong team, so I can
Yeah.
play 3 lines most
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
Are you aware, Matt, that Corey's kid asked for less ice time?
You see how he had no
That-
reaction whatsoever? He's just like, yeah, I figured.
that checks out.
Oh. Parker hit a limit. He just was done. I get it. Like you said, you can double shift for so long before you're like, that's it. Thanks
Yeah.
so much. We're in
God
the
bless him.
4th overtime, Kyle.
we all love Parks.
Yeah.
That's
There was a bean
40
waiting in the wings to take
additional
those extra
minutes.
shifts.
Yeah. We feels like a strong word, Matt. Everyone else seems to love him just like.
Oh.
He's a middle child. You're not supposed to love your middle child. I mean, you have 2 middle children. You got 4, Matt. You understand.
Yeah.
The whole point is to
I got
not
2 of
like them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just surprised we made it this long and Matt hasn't told you. I thought Josh Brown had a lot on me. Matt might have more on me than even Josh Brown.
Yes, that's true. That's probably true. It's funny because Corey and I talk a lot about the fact that I'm frankly I'm shocked that Corey's children are as strong as they are at the game of hockey. And oftentimes I tell Corey it's probably because they hung around with me at a young age. Because they certainly and got some osmosis there because certainly they didn't get it from their dad because I've seen him skate. Yeah. So
I don't know if you can call what I do skating as much.
Yeah, it's more like gliding. He tries to. Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
He's still
And he
being
uses
nice.
the boards to stop a lot. So
Yes.
mhm.
That whole pizza stop thing is not something I mastered.
a lot of snow plowing, and yeah. Tripod using the yeah.
That's what the stick is for, right?
Right, to hold you up for sure.
Right.
No, Corey told us he had the nickname Tripod, but it was for a different reason. Are you telling us that is not true? It is a serious journalistic question.
So that is a very serious journalistic question. It certainly has to do with balancing himself on a stick because the other could not be true.
Okay, this is going to disappoint several ladies in town.
Yes.
Several feels like an exaggeration.
How many times tonight has Corey had to say too mean? Too mean.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm going on vacation, Kyle, because I need a break. I need a break from you. I need some space to breathe.
Yeah, I get you.
Some space.
Matt, who is your favorite California Golden Seal of all time?
I have no idea.
It's Orlando Kurtenbach.
That's the one. Is that it? That's
the
the
question.
answer.
I'm gonna seethe for a minute.
That's the answer.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the answer. Yes.
Yeah,
I
Kelly,
agree.
what do you want to know about California hockey?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Matt kind of answered a lot of my question. When you were talking about this, it kind of answered like my number one question just about how like easy it is to find players. Just because, like you said, coming from the Midwest, and I mean, I'm like such a fishbowl person because I grew up in North Dakota, born and raised. So like,
She prefers the eye kick, is what she's saying.
Only ever go to Las Vegas when
The
I
bubble.
leave here. Yeah. So, like when my boys were little, like, I didn't even realize until like, if you ever want to buy hockey, like NHL stuff, it's way harder to find stuff than if you want NFL stuff or if you want NBA stuff or you want MLB stuff, and I remember even saying to my husband, I'm like, why is it so hard to find? And he's like, because hockey is not as popular nationwide as other sports are. It just isn't. It's getting more popular, but it's, I mean, if you compare it to the NFL or the NBA or the MLB, I mean, hockey is way down on the list. So that kind of was more, my question is just, I mean, I know like, California has a professional team. They have Anaheim and Kings and yeah. So is hockey do you guys have a decent amount of interest, or is it something that you have to pursue to get people interested? Or, I guess that would be because, around here, there's just more kids than you know what to do with almost any given year, just because it's like, well,
Right.
they're going to play hockey. So,
Well, like I said, I think the cost is really prohibitive for a lot of families. And in California, soccer is really big, lacrosse is really big, basketball, baseball is really big, softball. So because you can play you can play baseball year round out here. Like in North Dakota, a lot of kids that play baseball also play hockey. But out here, if they play baseball, they play baseball.
right.
So they play high school baseball and then they play travel ball. And it's interesting because it kind of depends on where you're at in California. I think, it's San Jose, the San Jose area, because of the Sharks, they have an embarrassment of teams at every level. Like, for example, they might have 5 or 6 10U teams, where we have in Roseville here, we have 1.
Right.
And so one of the really interesting things here that really kind of blew my mind when I moved out here is you can, at the youth level, you can play wherever you want. As long as you're willing to drive, you can play wherever you want. So, like in North Dakota, if you're playing youth hockey in North Dakota, if I live in Bismarck, I have to play for Bismarck Hockey Club. That's where I have to play for, or I have to be able to get some kind of release to go play for Mandan if I want to do that. Right here, if I have a kid that's a great hockey player that lives here, is 5 minutes from the Roseville rink. If he wants to play for San Jose's AA team, as long as his parents are willing to drive him 2.5 hours, 3 days a week to go practice in San Jose, they go play in San Jose.
Wow. Yeah, that is totally different from here.
So it creates some. One of the things that really gets my goat, and this will get me in trouble if people have heard this, but and so like maybe you can cut it out later. But one of the things that really gets my goat out here is that our program here is very strong. We have really strong coaches in our program here in Roseville, and we really do as a club, we do a great job of developing players. And there's a club that is about 45 minutes away from us that has a AA program, and we develop players, and they poach all of our players for their AA club. And so it's frustrating, because the AA teams out here, like I have a very strong A team, and if I had a little bit better defensive core, I would be competitive with their AA team.
Right.
So it's razor thin, the difference.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of recruiting that goes on.
Yeah.
Like, this club over here wants to have a AA team this fall, so they're going to run a AA tryout and invite
your best
everybody.
players. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And especially
which is
like
which is okay, but the frustrating thing is that club is putting together a AA team of players that other clubs have developed into AA players.
Right.
And unfortunately, that club doesn't have the coaching to be able to continue to develop those players and make them better.
Oh, that would be really complicated.
Super frustrating because, as a coach, I put a lot of time and effort into my kids. It's volunteer. I don't get paid.
You should. I heard the fees.
Right. But when ice time is $500 an hour and we have the cost, actually, it's funny. The fees that the kids pay is basically 90% of what they pays for ice time to practice.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Is there any whatsoever high school hockey in California? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is. Much North Dakota and Minnesota are unique. I think, I found that traveling across the country, most states have, 16U, 14U, 18U. They don't really have high school clubs necessarily. And if they do, it's kind of like college hockey in Canada. Like it's, you play junior in Canada. If you play college hockey, that's like the lower end of things, right?
Right.
And so I think that's where a lot of states are. We run an 18U. We have a high school team and we have a varsity team. Matter of fact, our high school team is playing in the championship game tonight
Oh,
against
wow.
against Tahoe Academy.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure when you're, referring to, like you said, like lack of ice, all being privately owned, everything,
Right.
because I'm sure it makes it a little bit more complicated for like practice schedules with high school and,
Right.
the
And most
ability
of the
for,
high school teams aren't related. They aren't associated, generally not associated with a high school.
well,
There are some, but not a lot. Like ours, we have a Thunder high school program, but it's kids from all over the area here that come and play for our high school team.
yeah, so not just one high school.
Right.
Yeah. That's-
Right. Some of the private schools in the Bay Area have a team.
Yeah.
Right.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yep.
No, the
Hey,
Kingston
Matt.
Ducks had a high school league, I think. I'm sorry, Corey.
No,
Yeah, the Ducks have
please,
one.
go on.
We play in the Sharks. We play in the San
Yeah.
Jose Sharks high
Okay.
school league. Yep.
How would you gauge like seeing the high school teams in California? How would you gauge? I mean, you coached high school here in the Midwest. Competition wise, do you feel like Midwest would have the edge? California, would it be a competitive game, blowout? I mean, I know every team's different, but just generalizing.
Generally speaking, I would say high school teams in the Midwest would probably be deeper.
Yeah.
Top players against top players, top line against top line, it's probably comparable.
Right. Like you said, I mean, there's still
some
high skill players. Yeah.
Yeah, we have some players in our club that, in my opinion, certainly could play junior hockey if they wanted to.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's a harder path out here.
Any
Nobody's
junior teams around there?
Fresno Monsters is probably the closest.
Okay.
Yeah, and like Ogden, Utah.
Yeah.
Utah has some.
Yeah,
There's some
USPHL, NCDC, and
Yep.
then a new,
Yep.
I think it's public now, but a new USHL league in Southern California, at least for now.
Yeah. There aren't many close by to us.
Yeah.
There's, yeah. People are excited though, because Tahoe is going to have a minor league club up in Tahoe. So,
New rink, and yeah.
yep.
Corey, what was your question before? And would I cut you off?
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to ask Matt, if you were going to pronounce a province in Western Canada that was bordered by Alberta, how would you pronounce that certain province?
A province.
And there is a right answer.
What you're asking me, like geography of Canada? I'm not Canadian, man.
Yeah.
Now you're putting me on the spot because I know Kyle's Canadian.
Oh,
See,
Corey's
he
quick.
dropped the question and he left.
Yeah,
Man.
what a chicken shit move, Corey.
That's
Seriously,
real chicken shit.
just like Parker, he needed a little time off. But I don't even really have to let him back in, I guess. But
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Well,
now he's
and,
on.
it's made it's been an important part of the podcast here lately. Leather pants. Are we seeing this in California hockey moms? They're probably a little bit more fashion-wise cutting edge than the Midwest moms. It pains me to say it, but I bet it's the truth.
You know what? No, not really. Most of my moms wear yoga pants.
No, yeah, that's okay. It's good to know that
I haven't seen any leather pants.
No leather pants. Okay.
No.
Then
No.
just the
Making
Midwest
double
getting
break.
all sassy.
They're making a move up there. Some
Yeah.
leather
Oh, yeah.
pants and
Multiple spottings in the arenas here.
yeah,
classy. That feels like not very insulated. Don't feel warm. They don't feel like they'd be warm.
So I got kicked off the podcast, presumably by Kyle, when I asked my question, but how did he pronounce?
he's ducking the question.
I ducked the question.
Oh,
I ducked the question.
yeah, penguins shouldn't duck, Matt. You know better.
I know. Corey and I have done too many things together.
Yeah, we got a lot on each other. We're both. You can see we're kind
Softball,
of we're tiptoeing around these stories. Like
lake,
who's going to throw the first dart first?
Refer to
ditch
them, but
digging at the
don't actually
lake.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like we're not going to talk about stories that where we may have dug ditches by lakes
Yes,
and got in
yes,
trouble by his father-in-law and my dad. You know, it's just
yes.
things we're not going to talk about.
He couldn't yell at us Nick and I that much though, because we're not really his. So
Yeah, but
you
he
got
yelled
to
at
take
me
the
all
brunt
right.
of that.
Seems
Doesn't
tough
like
to
getting
fair,
yelled
you
at
know?
by a former colonel in the military who's 5'7" and 140 pounds soaking wet. And a bunch of guys just kind of cower and walk away and say, we're sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's interesting to have a father-in-law when you're in the military and he also is in the military. And he is a full bird colonel and you're a very lowly ranked person.
That feels good.
It was always an interesting dynamic when we would be together during guard drill weekends. Yeah.
That's good.
Um,
Actually, I just spoke to a guy who was a Air Force survival instructor. Also, his wife is a full bird colonel, and he's a lieutenant colonel, and so he feels that changes their dynamic. So
She
He
outranks
outranks
him.
him?
Yeah.
interesting cat. What's that?
I like
Outranks
that.
him in more than one way, generally
I like
speaking.
that. I
Outranks
like
him.
it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I can understand that.
So we're coming up on our time now. Any parting shots on California hockey?
It's interesting out here. Most of the state is large, right? Obviously, California is a large state, but Southern California, we always struggle when we play Southern California, because I think SoCal has kind of a head start on hockey numbers.
Sure.
Obviously, because of the Kings and Gretzky coming here to California back in the day and really making Southern California more of a hockey area. And we're starting to see more kids playing hockey in Northern California, but certainly when we get to the state tournament, it's a struggle when we play those teams. They have a lot of kids, which is great. Like, I think it's, there's a lot of kids playing hockey in the state of California, even though it's expensive. And so I've enjoyed being able to continue to coach out here. We don't have, the latter years of my coaching in North Dakota was girls high school, with the Knightriders, the Blizzard, and the Braves, respectively. And so it's been interesting coming back down here and coaching, going back to coaching boys again.
Yeah.
And I think coaching girls for the number of years that I did actually made me a better coach. So,
anything in particular make you say that?
If you've ever coached boys and then coached girls, you'll know that it's a very different. Your approach has to be very different.
Yeah.
And I learned very early on in my first year coaching girls that my approach, coaching the boys at Red River, I needed to have a very different approach coaching the girls at Red River and Central. So, and so I've learned different ways to motivate players, trying to figure out different ways of, all players have different things that make them tick and make them who they are. And so coaching girls, I think there was such a wide range of personalities. It gave me an opportunity to be able to figure out ways to make connections to a wider range of player.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it was good. I miss coaching high school girls. I really loved doing that. That was a lot of fun. So I miss coaching in North Dakota. Every year when I watch the state tournament and I see the girls playing,
You're actually our second Knightriders coach.
Yes.
There you go.
After Jeff Humble, I coached with Kyle Ellingson.
Oh, actually, you're the second Knightriders coach we've had on the program, isn't it?
Oh,
Margot
is that
Miller.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yes, Marge. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yes.
And to put you on the spot, which school in California will be the first to add Division I hockey?
Ooh. That's a good question. If I had to guess, it would be a Southern California team. It probably would be either UCLA or USC.
Who was the dark horse? San Diego State.
Maybe. Yeah. San Diego State. Sure. They
Fascinating.
have there's a lot of actually club college hockey up
Yeah.
here. Like UC Davis has club. I think Berkeley has club, San Jose State.
Yeah. Cal Poly.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones. Yeah. So any further questions for Matt? You're right. I think the third Matt Strinden I know, so this is fascinating. I'm just adding them up here.
They're everywhere.
They're all over the place. They're all over the place.
I'll say.
Matt,
I'll give a shout out to my Red River Rough Riders with their state championship. I always enjoy it because I'm a Grand Forksian at heart. I always enjoy it when the two Grand Forks teams are in the state title game. That's always as long as it's Red River or Central winning, I'm always happy about it.
Kelly's biting right through her lip right now. I can see
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Just smile. Oh, that's so nice.
I totally understand it. We got, she's got a Central coach in the house there. So
That's right. That's right. I gotta live with this guy,
Tough to find good roommates at Riverside, right?
Yes.
It is tough. It's tough. I'm not looking for a new one. It's just that it's slim pickings over here. So
always a good battle. It's been, Red River and Central have been really tight the last few years. Like it's always been a really good battle. A lot of real talented players. So that's great to see that they're, other teams are getting better, across the state. Other teams are getting better, but the talent still seems to lie in Grand Forks, which is great. That's always, it's good.
Hey, my only parting thing for Matt is, Matt, if you ever decide to divorce my sister, I'll try to make sure you get more than half.
She is the breadwinner, my friend. That's why we live in California.
Community property state?
It is a community property state. Yeah. So
we can talk about the Lee Marvin palimony case next time.
Next time on the North Dakota After Dark podcast.
On Boring Family Law with Kyle and Corey. All right. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy that. I appreciate the insight into California hockey. Always nice to have someone else to make fun of Corey. Takes the pressure off Kelly. And that's great.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Come back anytime.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Episode will be out tomorrow.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Good night.